Most people get really excited about is fishing the adult stonefly. And this is my version of an extended bodied one. Let me show you how you do that. To begin with, what we're going to do is the extended body. All you need is just a standard straight, not shank, but just a straight needle in there. Then what we're going to do is take some dubbing wax and just go right on over the needle. And what this is going to do is to ensure that our body pulls right off. Then we're going to take some Zelon, or if you want, you can use poly yarn. We'll cut a hunk of this off. Don't need quite that much. And we're just going to lay that right on top of that dubbing wax. Cut off our excess there. Now we're going to attach some thread. For this entire fly, what I'm going to be using is mono thread. The reason I like to use the mono thread, it's transparent so I can make it whatever color that I want. But the most important reason is it's real strong. So we'll get going down the hook shank here. And once we get to about a length that we're liking, cut off this excess, and we're going to tie in our tail. For the tail, we're going to use the turkey biot. So I'll select 2 turkey biots, and we're just going to make them so they kind of splay out from one another. Straddle the needle there, and just tie them in there. Tie them down, just like so. Now we're back up to where we have our tail. Now we're going to tie in the foam. I've already pre-cut some orange foam here. This is 2mm foam. And before I tie it in, I'll just come in and cut it at an angle. And we'll just tie that right on down. As you can see, I'm just following it with my thumbnail until I get up towards the tip of the hook. Now before I start to wrap it, just to make sure this body doesn't come apart on us, I'm going to take some Zappa Gap and we're going to just put some glue down here. And that was the main reason why we put the dubbing wax down. Now that glue won't adhere to the needle and we can slide this right off. So we just take it and we're just going to start wrapping this forward. Depending on how big you want your body to be, you can stretch the foam and make it tighter. Just wrap it forward, and as you do that, you get a nice segmented body. Get up to the point of the hook and tie it off. Cut off our excess foam, and we're just going to whip finish it off. Take a few whip finishes here, and we'll cut off our thread. Now if you have any glue that's kind of seeped out, shouldn't use your fingers. You might use some Kleenex or a paper towel to do it. And then you're all done. All you have to do is kind of twist it and just pull it right on off the needle. Set that to the side, and now we'll stick in our hook. Or 2x long. And we'll reattach our monofilament. And we're just putting the thread base down so our body has something to attach to and is less likely to spin. So we take our extended body, set it up there, cut off that excess stuff, and we're ready to tie it down. And this is where that mono thread really helps a lot, because you can really put a lot of tension onto it and tie it down real good. To continue our body, we'll take that excess orange foam and we'll just come in and cut it at an angle again, tie it in by the tip, and wrap it forward with our thread. And to make sure all this is going to stay intact where we want it, just place some more zappa gap right in there. And it doesn't hurt to put some on the underside as well. So we're just going to take our foam. This time we're going to stretch it a little bit tighter. That way it just looks like a continuation of our extended body. Get up here and just tie it off. Cut off our excess. And we're going to wrap back here a little bit into our thorax area. Now we're ready to tie in our underwing. For that, we're going to use some dark colored deer or elk hair. This happens to be dark brown deer hair. So we'll just snip some of this out of here. And I'm not concerned for the hair to be nice and even. Just take out the guard hair. And we're going to measure it so it goes just to the end of the hook shank there. Tie it down. And cut off our excess. Once we have our underwing there, we're going to tie in the overwing. For that, we'll use the adult colored medallion sheeting, which is kind of a dark colored, amber colored looking material. And we'll just run our scissors up here versus tearing it. Yeah, it should be long enough. And we're going to just lay it right on top of that deer hair at kind of an angle. Tie it down. And then fold the other one straight back and tie it down. Then we can come in here and trim our wings, just so that, and round them off a little bit. Got a little overzealous with that angle. And now we're going to add some rubber legs. For that, we'll take some black rubber, or if you prefer, you can use round or brown. And if you can't get a hold of the rubber, those silicone round rubber legs work just about as well too. So we'll tie it in kind of like you would it for a Madam X. You want them fairly long. Do one on the side towards you and away from you. And then just fold it back. And get that long one out of there. And to make this even a super heavy or high floating fly, you can add a little more deer hair and just put it over your wing. That ought to do it for right now for us. So we'll come to the hook eye. Now we're going to do a bullet head with some deer hair. We come in and grab a pretty good sized hunk of the deer hair, cut it off, and we're going to take out the under fur, make sure it's nice and clean. And it's best if you tie these kind of flies in your buddy's house, that way you don't have to clean up the mess when you're done. You can have deer hair all over the place. Then what you're going to do is put that into a hair stacker, just like this. Even up the tips a little bit. Nice having this clear tubing for the hair stacker so you can see what's going on in there. Then you just pivot it, pull it out. Real nice hair stacker that Stonefly Tools has there. So I'm going to grab it by the butt. I'm going to measure the length. So I'm going from the hook eye almost back to the bend of the hook. Now when I come in here to cut it, I'm going to cut it a little bit longer because I'm going to have to allow for that when I tie this stuff in. Rotate it around. Now we're ready to tie it in by the butt section. So we'll take a couple loose wraps of thread here, cinch down a little bit, then we'll take one more turn of thread, and then we'll just kind of spin that stuff right on and around. There we go. Nice and tight. And we advance our thread to the back here. And you can come in and snip out the butt sections of that deer hair we just tied in, so they're not sticking out when we form our bullet head. And you kind of push it back if you got a little too close to the hook eye. Kind of fold everything back. And to make that head real tight, what I do is have an assortment of pins that I've taken the ink out of. And we'll see just which one we're going to be able to use here to fold our deer hair back. That one ought to work right there. So we come back, take a turn of thread or two, tighten down, and we have a nice tight bullet head. Generally, before I tie in the head, I would have switched to some fluorescent colored thread, just to speed things up and to show you an option for when you do forget a certain material. There's always an alternative. What we're going to do is take some of the trilobal dubbing, and we'll dub some of this bright orange color right on our thread. Because as you look at the adult stonefly, it has that nice orange band right at the head area. And that's what this is going to be here. It will give us that orange band. And we're going to tie in some more rubber legs. And we'll do this just like you would for a Madam X. Do it one on one side and do one on the other. Just making sure it's down along the side here. And just to finish that fly up, we'll add a little more of that orange dubbing. Make it look a little neater. And we're ready to whip finish it off. Just whip finish it right in there between the legs. Take off our thread. Now we're ready to trim our legs. I generally like the back legs to go to at least the length of the body. And we'll grab all four of these front legs so they'll be nice and even. And we'll come in there and give them a quick little snip. And to make it even more durable, you can just add a little more zappa gap right on your head area. And that way that thing is virtually bomb-proof and won't fall apart on you. And that's what I like to call my adult stonefly.